Hello everybody, today I'm here to review Gathering Blue by Lois Lowry. First off, can we just stare at this cover for a second? I think this is absolutely stunning. I did not understand the whole point with regards to the needle and all the thread. I do now, and the title is just absolutely fitting. This story is about Kira, who is at the beginning of this story an orphan. She is sitting with her mother's body because her mother died of a disease, I do believe, or a plague, I believe is how they call it in her village. And she has to wait the minimum amount of time so that before the beasts come and get her, her spirit can disappear. And when that happens, she leaves and goes to head home. Everything has been destroyed, but she's looking forward to rebuilding the house, and she's hopeful that she can get some of the younger boys, such as Matt and his friends, to help her build the house again, because unfortunately when Kira was born, she was born deformed. Her leg was injured and she has to walk with a crutch, and it takes her probably double the amount of time that it would take most people her age to do something. Unfortunately, when she arrives home and she's kind of starting to build things, this other woman named Vandera, who is quite the evil woman of the village, she's kind of the mastermind behind everything, and she decides that Kira can't stay. Kira needs to be taken to the field and left there for the beasts because she can't provide anything for the village. Now, when Vandera picks up a stone to actually throw at Kira, the other ladies who have come out of their huts pick up stones as well. And Kira makes Vandera, as well as the other ladies, remember the law that states that if there is a murder, that everyone involved will probably be put to death. So the other ladies back down, and Vandera, realizing that she doesn't have the support behind her that she thought she had, decides to take her to the justices in the village. I forget what they're called, like the Chamber of Commerce kind of thing. Anyway, when they go there, things go completely differently than you would expect to see. So I'm not going to go much further in the description of this because I feel like too many times we describe things and go a little too far in the description, and I kind of like to leave you with some suspense. This was mind-blowing. The first 90 pages or so, I wasn't really connected with the story though, because Kira, I don't know what it is, I didn't have a problem with the female characters in The Giver, but I feel like Kira in those first 90 pages was very withdrawn. She seemed more like a secondary character, and that's why I was having a hard time following along with what was taking place in this. The other thing is the fact that this story is one that you literally can't see coming till probably when you get to the end. You're going to start piecing things together, but the whole way along you're like, okay, this is great, like, yeah, okay. And then something happens. There's a scene that happens and it just changes everything. You start looking at the world, the village, just a little differently. The same thing as Kira. She starts to look at the village and where she is currently placed a little differently, and it was just brilliant. Literally, the way that this ended makes me want to pick up Messenger by Lois Lowry so much more, because this ending, there was one thing with regards to the ending that literally just exploded in my mind. It took me about 5 minutes after I finished reading it to realize the actual significance between one thing and this thing. So hopefully you guys will pick this up. The writing, again, probably the first 90 pages you might find it a little slow. I know that I did, and I almost decided to just put the book down and not continue, but I am so glad I did, because this is literally one that surprised me. And remember how I mentioned I have this thing, I have to finish books even if I don't like them, because sometimes I might get surprised at the ending. This was one of them. Mind-blowing, amazing, pick it up. You might be a little doubting, like, I don't know if I really want to read this because I really liked The Giver. Trust me, you want to read this. Okay, if you guys haven't read this, please, when this disappears, don't watch any further because I have a couple of things to discuss spoilery, so you don't want to hear it. It's going to spoil you completely. Trust me, trust me. Okay, when it disappears, I'm going to talk spoilers, so better get ready to exit out right now. Alright, so one thing that I noticed with regards to this story was near the end of it, when Kira hears this clinking sound coming from the singer who is up on stage, and she doesn't realize till he's getting down. You're kind of thinking, what is that clinking? Like, you are just the same as Kira. I'm like, what is going on here? I don't see the connection. What is going on? And then she sees it and she goes to mention it and she gets distracted. I'm like, why? And then she goes to mention it again and something else happens and you're like, oh, I am getting so frustrated. Just tell me what it is. I don't know. And then you find out that the singer had chains on his feet. And it just completely changed your mind from this thought of everything is going to be great. They're going to help shape the future. And then you realize it's not that. You realize all of a sudden that they're prisoners. That these children have been basically almost Stockholm syndromed into believing that they are being loved and cared for. Now after that you see Maddie stating a surprise, and finally when he takes her into the room to show her the big surprise, you see this old gentleman, and I knew from the moment he was standing there, it's Kira's dad. I just know it. And it turns out it's Kira's dad, and you're so happy. And then he starts mentioning how somebody tried to kill him, and you realize when that happens who it is. And if you guys are watching this spoilery part, I'm going to be really mad because I'm not going to say his name because part of me can't remember it. I think it's Jameson. Jameson! That's his name! I just remembered that. Anyway, what happens is you then realize that Jameson is this evil guy, that this entire time you thought he was Kira's hero, her supporter and everything, and you find out he's not. Especially when the old woman Annabelle dies. Kind of had my suspicions on Jameson from that point on. Especially because he was so touchy with the fact that there's no beasts. I'm going to mention the fact that basically when Christopher and Matt decide to leave, Kira wants to go with them, but because of what is taking place here in the village, she decides to stay. And you're thinking, why would you want to stay in this horrible place? But you have to realize with her character, she feels like she can do something. She can change this. And I don't know if she does or not, because I feel like this is all going to come out in Messenger. And I've already read the description for Messenger, so I'm going to be quiet on that. But I'm really hopeful to get my hands on that book and read it very soon, because I feel like it is just one that is very... how does Lois Lowry even, how did she even come up with these? It's absolutely amazing. Now you're probably thinking, what was this brilliant thing that had you from the moment you read it? Literally, it took me 5 minutes. And I was thinking, what is going on? Alright guys, so the part of the story that literally had me 5 minutes after I finished reading it scream out loud because I was so shocked that I didn't clue in later. This is pretty much the last 2 or 3 pages of the story. We hear Matt talking to Kira, and then he says to her, Matt's explaining what the village is like, and then it says, then Matt took Kira aside to whisper an important secret. I know you can't be getting a hubby because of your horrid gimp, he said in a low, apologetic voice. It's all right, she reassured him. He tugged at her sleeve eagerly. I have been wanting to tell you that them other people, them broken ones, they gets married. And I seen a boy there, a 2-syllable boy, not even broken, just about the same age as you. Wait. I bet you could marry him, Matt announced in a solemn whisper. If and you want to. Kira hugged him. Thanks, Matt, she whispered back. I don't want to. His eyes be an amazing blue color. Please tell me you know who he's talking about. Please. Please tell me you know who I'm talking about. Yes! I'm so excited. That is so exciting. That is so exciting. I am way too giddy over that little piece of information than I was over the entire story overall. Literally, this was amazing. I didn't know how Lois Lowry was going to top The Giver, but then I read this, and the ending just blew my mind. Yes! Gathering Blue was an amazing read, and if you haven't read it, and you've watched this far and gotten yourself spoiled, I really am not going to apologize for that because you watched this far, and you shouldn't have because I told you not to. Anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this review. I will see you next time. Until then, go and pick up a random book and read. Bye, guys!